What's up YouTube, it's me Jess and I'm an opera singer. Today's video is Patron Pick of the Month, and for this month they have chosen Ayreon. Let me know down below. Ayreon, The Day That the World Breaks Down. Let's go.
A silence so deafening as the stillness surrounds us. A rush of fear is surging through our veins.
Okay, I feel like you don't get this concept in mainstream music. And my question is this typical for this genre of music? I'm very new to this scene, so you all are gonna have to educate me because this is very, very cool, very different. I really love the way that the story was set up. It's a lot to take in, and the reason why it's a lot to take in is because your eyes are trying to pay attention to two things, essentially. You're trying to pay attention to the narration on the screen, and then you're also trying to pay attention to the graphic setup within the background. And then additionally, your ears are trying to listen to the singer as well as the narration. So there's a lot of things to try and pick up within a short amount of time. But at the end of the day, it's all very entertaining. Let's just rewind a little bit and get right back into the second verse.
A shadow so menacing darkens our horizon. What have we done? Is this the end? When death descends.
Ooh! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes! Okay. Oh my god, this is so cool how all of these elements are coming together to create a scene and also create a storyline, right? The key to a good storyline is the plot, the unfolding of events, and the success of the plot is greatly influenced by the overall tone of the music video. And the tone was really, really good. It was set up really, really nicely. At the very beginning of the music video, sorry, I'm so intrigued by like the graphics and what's going on, even where it just paused. The tone at the very beginning was really good. It was a very chilling tone with that almost white noise of wind going on within the background, and that's literally all you got. And this already gives you some idea of a setting, right? When you hear just natural sounds, your mind can therefore automatically kind of create a setting for the story, and that setting could be a desert, it could be outside of a house, it could be, I don't know, in the middle of nowhere where there's just a lot of wind going on. It kind of allows you to use your imagination to create a scene with just one sound source, wind. And then, right after that happened, there was like this interjection of sound with like a laser beam almost, and that laser beamy sound kind of hints at, let's say, an imaginary world. as is told by the narration, is an imaginary world. So I thought those two things put together just set up the tone of the scene really, really nicely. Now, I have to say, I have to go back. The singer's name at the beginning, his name is Mr. James Labrie as the historian. His voice was so perfect for the intro. It was breathy, but it also had like the perfect amount of diction. It was just a beautiful combination to put together for the beginning of this song, the beginning of the story. And that's not an easy combo to put together, breathiness and good diction. In a sense, they kind of contradict themselves almost. Yes, the consistent slow vibrato coming through at the ends of his phrases was gorgeous. And then that coupled with the crisp clarity of his words, hand in hand, those two together almost like kind of make you think of a historian, right? Maybe a little bit of a breathy tone, but his words are very crisp and concise. You know what he's saying because he's very good at his diction. Beautiful combination. We're gonna rewind a little bit to go back into this instrumental intro. There's a lot going on. It was really good.
What have we done? Is this the end? When death descends.
That's cool. Woo. Yes. Woo! Woo! Yes. Okay. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. If you didn't know, the cello is one of my favorite instruments ever. Okay, let's go back a little bit. So, the very beginning of this clip where we started, there was a really cool transition, and the coolness of the transition was the juxtaposition of the sounds. James Labrie, I believe is his name. So James Labrie was singing, his last words were something, death descends, or something like that. And the juxtaposition of the sounds accompanied with those two words and then the sounds that came right after was a really cool transition. So the word descends by definition means to go in some sort of downward motion, correct? But when Mr. James was singing the melody on the word descends, he sings the melody by going up a half step. And then that up motion kind of moves into this very uplifting sound.
When death descends.
And the cool thing was the contradiction between those two. Hearing the word descends and an uplifting of sound coming just after that and on the word descends. I do want to mention, I think it's interesting that for James's part, it was just a picture. And then when we moved into this next transition with the instrumentalists, you saw them playing their parts, in motion. And I'm just curious to know any thoughts on why this is. Let's take a second to think about how the sound has progressed from the very beginning to where it's at now. Because a key component to the success of a plot is the unfolding of events and how the tone and the atmosphere within those unfolding of events complement each other or even contradict each other to at the end of the day, tell the story. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play 2 clips for you all. I'm going to play a short clip from the very beginning and a short clip into the section where we are now. Play them back to back so we can hear how much the song has progressed within the sound. It's quite interesting.
A silence so deafening as the stillness surrounds us. A rush of fear is surging through our veins.
Okay, so this is a pretty big difference in sound, right? And we haven't heard very much narration in a little bit of a while, right? You heard the narration at the very beginning, and then James was singing, and then we get this really nice instrumental break. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see what is this all setting up for within the next coming vocal lines. Now, the instrumental part. I have to give a big shout out to I don't know how to pronounce his name, Ayreon. You guys can correct me below, but a big shout out to Ayreon for the way that he composed all of this, and also the instrumentalists, if they had anything to do with the composition of this. Just all of those components together, it worked, and it was a really nice progression of sound. You got this one set of sound within the cello and the violin, I believe, playing at the beginning. Yes, it was the cello and the flute playing in the beginning. That was a beautiful sound. A very much more, let's say, open and floaty sound. And then you get this nice transition into this more hardcore, really rhythmic driven sound with the violin and the drum. My god, that transition was so cool. And I think that really is going to lend to the overall play out of the story. Tommy. I love how he is able to bob and weave up in and out of his registers. It sounds so easy for him. There was a super dope line where he just had so many voice components. I mean, in the short clip he played, so many voice techniques that he is using to just be able to execute these lines so effortlessly. Chest voice, he was using some head voice. He flipped into his mixed voice. Didn't sound falsetto-y to me. There wasn't a lot of air pressing through his sound. It was just a very pure, clear sound. And on top of that, his vowels are beautiful. His vowels are pristine. They're gorgeous. I hope he comes back because I definitely need to hear more from him. We're actually just going to rewind a little bit because, no, we're going to listen to the whole thing because the sound is just bomb.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
am so obsessed with the clarity in Tommy's vowels. It's beautiful, and because his vowels are so clear and so well placed within his phonating space, the resonance is just absolutely stunning. This is beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and say this right now. Tommy's part is probably my favorite part within the vocal line so far. It is, woo! It's cutting right through. We're gonna go back and listen to the way that he held out that word down and listen to the beautiful clarity in that beautiful open ah vowel when he's sustaining that note. Nice. Pause. There's just so much to take in. The interesting thing though, the fascinating thing though, is that there's a lot going on, and but surprisingly, it's not overwhelming, despite the complexity of it all. It truly is an enjoyable performance, an enjoyable listen, and it's because their transitions are just so cool. That's like the best way I can put it. They're so cool, and they really do complement one another as one part of the song is leaving and going into the next part. I do want to point out, what was his name? He sang right after Tommy. His name is, two Tommies. Okay, Tommy Rogers' voice was a nice effect. There was some sort of cool post-production added to his voice which distorted the idea of the human voice. And I thought this was a cool effect because it adds to this tone of otherworldly existence, right?
I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe we are headed.
To kind of complement that idea, that otherworldly setting, why not go ahead and distort one of the human voices singing one of the parts? I thought that was a really, really, really dope addition. Listen to the drum.
I always knew this would happen. That many believed in my cause. I'm sure they will all turn to me now.
Yes.
I'm sure I am the only one.
Nice.
Who can save us from this fate.
What?
I always knew they would need me. Not many showed faith in my plans. I'm
Yes.
sure they will listen to me now. I'm sure that I'm the only one who can
No. I'm sorry. Is he really, whoever's head is just randomly floating in the middle of the screen, is he really singing that higher harmony?
show faith in my plans. I'm sure they will listen to me now. I'm sure that
No way, that's incredible. Okay, if y'all want to know, that highest note within the harmony is an A5. That's freaking high. Oh, that's dope. Woo!
Yes, I believe you are the answer. Yes, I agree you are the key.
Ah.
Your future lies in the heavens.
Nice.
Our future lies beyond the stars. We will save them. We will save them. From this pain.
So good. Ah. Woo! Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Man, I'm glad that Ayreon is putting little blurbs about what was going on when all of this project was coming together. It's so helpful. I love this thematic material that we're getting. The sound that was played at the very beginning and now it's being put in a different instrument, I think is a really cool idea. And the cool thing about, let's say, comparing these two parts is listening, for me at least, listening to the vibrati. The vibrato from who was playing it at the very beginning. So at the very beginning of the song, you had the violin playing this thematic material, and then now it's being played in the guitar. And listening to the two back to back, it's really cool to listen to the vibrati. That big difference, it actually really gives a completely different vibe to the overall sound, even though they're playing a very similar thematic material. Oh my god. What? No way. Wow. Woo. Ah! Ugh, that was nasty, y'all. That was so good. Okay, it's obvious. His name is Michael, I think I caught. Michael. Okay, it's very obvious. Michael has a very impressive range, right? What is awesome to me is the presence of his higher tessitura. He has a really great grasp on breath pressure, which therefore allows him to bring a lot more chest voice up into that higher range in comparison to, let's say, majority of other male counterparts. And that presence really just kind of separates his sound from a lot of other people. Now, the beauty in this entire part, it was everything, but one beautiful aspect of it was, one, the sustaining of notes and how there were quite a few notes that were just sustained and then other notes just changed around that one sustained note, therefore changing harmonies. And then another beautiful part was some of the arpeggios. There was one moment where I believe it was 2 arpeggios going on and then it led to some sort of major chord. Let's go back and listen to that so I can pick out these notes. 0, G4, A4, B flat 4. 0, C5, D5, E5. C, 0. And what was super cool about these 2 arpeggiations going on was the very last note of the last arpeggiated chord created this, I believe, A major chord. Don't quote me on that. I don't have perfect pitch, but that transition of those arpeggios then landing on this beautiful major chord was just so satisfying. I'm seriously so impressed, 1, with his range, 2, his higher tessitura, and B, the fact that the only instructions he was given was 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, whatever, and he came up with all of this just on that basic instruction. That, to me, is pure genius. Job well done. Yes! Hey! Woo! Yes! Da, 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 da. Nice. Yes.
I must have been blind. I mean, it should have been obvious. Straight out of my mind to rely on the cold machine.
Yes.
The sounds were strong. I know I was wrong. I know they will hate me now.
Yes.
Ooh, but I will come clean and destroy this cold machine. This is not over.
Woo!
Not as long as we're alive.
Nice.
If we join our forces, we will make it.
Easy.
This is not over. As a race we must survive. And in the end we'll cross this bridge together.
Woo! I promise we'll rewind to get back into this little solo part of it. My God, this is such a good video. Okay. Swerve. That bluesy transition was sick. I gotta put it out there. It was sick. And the melody within that whole bluesy section. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Ooh, that was so good. And then to make things even better, what was his name singing that part? Russell. Russell's vocals with that bluesy part, pure perfection, pure perfection. He's got this gritty, raspy quality within his sound, and that paired with this bluesy melody going on is just utter perfection. It just doesn't get better than that. Now, the second person that sang just after him, who just ended right now, his name is Michael. Okay, the ease at which Michael's sound comes out is admirable. And the reason why it sounds easy too is because he has a naturally brighter sound. And this is obvious in comparison to Russell's sound, who sang just before Michael. Michael's sound is much more brighter. It sits more on the frontal part of his whole facial cavity, and therefore it makes the sound for when he's going up into those higher notes just sound pretty effortless. There were a couple of lines that, man, it just came out so clear. It was 2 lines, and I think the melody just kind of shot up like by a whole step or by a third or something, but it shot up just for a quick second. And the way he was able to transition from that bottom note into that higher note that even is just a whole step up, it's still pretty high. Then the other time it shot up a little bit more. The way he was able to transition up into those and right up out of them was so good. I want to go back and figure out what those words were, because I'm not sure. Yes. Beautiful. It was within the first 2, this whole section right here, just at the very beginning. This is that note. Oh, I love when that happens. So he was going from a G to an A. The way that he was able to support his sound to just kind of ease right into that higher note was absolutely beautiful. And then he went on to say, this is not over, and as long as, oh, that beautiful, and as long as, what is that? Yes, so that move up to a minor third on the word as, the way he was able to support his sound from the very beginning, and then just use that support to get up into that A, which is now a minor third higher, was gorgeous, gorgeous. And I like to pay attention to notes that are high but don't have a long duration note value wise. Beautiful, Michael. Admirable. Yes.
I guess it seems right in the mind of a
So much recognition needs to go to these instrumentalists. Their talent is wild. I love all of the riffing going on within the string parts too. It's just sick, you all. I also want to just pause and say I love that they're using a grand piano. I don't know if it's a grand, baby grand, but a grand piano. Sonically, it's a major difference between a grand piano and a keyboard, and you can really hear those differences when you're listening to them back to back. It's a beautiful sound, and I thought it paired really, really nicely with Michael's vocals. Woo! Who's next? Oh my god, Floor to end with Floor. Man, her part was so hard because so many of the ends of her phrases just shot up. It's like you get no break. It's like you gotta take your breath, you're singing your little line, and then out of nowhere it's like, oh, I've got this note at the very end of the phrase that's really high. Floor, it's really nice to watch Floor's just mouth in general when she's singing, especially in this part, and it was cool to see a side angle. Her mouth, she opens her mouth quite a bit when she sings, and that works very, very well for her. And what I noticed in this particular clip is her tongue is so relaxed. You can see her tongue just resting at the bottom of her mouth and also behind the bottom front teeth. But to see all of that and then as a result to see the sound coming out is just a beautiful sight. Man, this is seriously like a masterpiece. What is this? A 13-minute song. This is incredible. I don't know how long this all took. Putting this all together seems pretty challenging, but I have to give so much respect to the difficulty of a piece like this, especially when what is really highlighted, let's say on radio, is a very formulaic poppy sound. So if you liked all that you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and please comment down below what other songs within this genre I should do a performance analysis on. Lastly, make sure you check out my description box for ways that you can keep in touch with me, take a voice lesson, or even get access to very exclusive perks. I hope y'all have a great day, great choice patrons, and I'll see you soon. Bye!